Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Yeah, as you could probably tell by the title of this video, I am going to be talking to you about my recent concert that I went to, seeing the mighty Soulfly playing Nail Bombs point blank in full, with support from Cannabis Corpse, Noisem, and Lodi Kong. And if you're wondering what I'm listening to in the background, if you can hear it, it is the newest one from Devangelic, Phlegathon. Amazing album. But yeah, holy shit. This was probably one of the best concert experiences that I have had in my short amount of time of going to shows. Had a couple really cool experiences happen, which I will talk about at the end of this, but I just want to kind of get into the show itself. Lodi Kong, I had heard, really wasn't all that great. And when they first went on, I was just like, I just didn't really care too much for their sound, so I pretty much kind of ignored them in a way and just kind of concentrated on looking at all, the stuff that I had bought. And yeah, so I wasn't too impressed with them, to be honest, which I had heard going into it that they weren't all that great. I've never heard any of their studio material, and I really don't have a desire to, really. Now, Noisem, I had heard before. I've heard some of their stuff, so I kind of had an idea of what I was getting into. And, yeah, they fucking crushed Lodi Kong as far as I'm concerned. They put on a hell of a show. The vocalist was just like a madman on stage. He could not sit still. The whole band really couldn't sit still. The only time they did is when they stopped in between songs to take a drink of water and everything. And I found it funny that the vocalist has this, like, kind of deep voice when he talks, but then when he starts to sing, most of his vocals are these high-pitched screams, and it's kind of, odd to see a guy with that deep of a voice doing that. And the only thing I really didn't like, because, they played flawlessly as far as I can tell. Like I said, I've only heard a few songs. I really need to pick up their albums to, check out their studio stuff. But the one thing that kind of, didn't make is most bands, whenever they're done playing, they say, oh, thank you for coming out, such and such is on next, or whatever, But these guys, they just, they finished playing their last song, and they just turned around, unplugged all their shit, and just started breaking down, didn't say a word to the audience. So I was just kind of like, what the fuck's up with that? And, it's like, whatever. And then the band of the night, for me and my nephew both, came on, and that was Cannabis Corpse. And, I know Soulfly playing Nail Bomb was they're like the headliner of this show, but Cannabis Corpse, in my opinion, totally stole the show. They were the best ones out of all of them, in my opinion. And, Landfill is hilarious. His in-between song banter, and also some of the faces that he was making while he was doing his vocals, just the way he was delivering his vocals, and then he would get his inner Gene Simmons, going on, sticking his tongue. And it was so funny because, after every single show, or I try to say every single song, and, he's got this deep growl and these high, these great screams and everything. And after every song, without fail, every single song, it was just like, he would be like, maybe finish up a scream, and they'd be like, thank you. Just like that, he's like, thank you. And then he would, go into some, song about weed and everything else. And speaking of which, one experience I did not really like having is during their set, some guy actually came up to me and, taps me on the arm, and I take out my little earplug. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you want to smoke? And the guy tries to hand me a fucking joint. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, no thanks. I don't smoke. If you want to smoke, whatever. But, I'm thinking, why does this guy even bring this shit into the venue? I know it's Cannabis Corpse, but come on. And this guy actually goes down onto the floor and asked somebody else what they wanted to hit off of his joint, and they were like, no. So he lights up right there on the middle of the fucking floor, right in front of a security guard who, promptly takes the joint away from him. And, the guy disappeared after that, and I didn't see him until Soulfly was setting up. And he ended up coming back, and he snuck behind a pillar down from our table because we were sitting up in the little VIP section. And, he lights up and he starts smoking again. I said, okay, that was the first time I'd ever actually smelled marijuana. And I'm just like, okay, that shit stinks. This fucker needs to get out of here. And once Soulfly came on, thankfully he took off and I didn't have to deal with him the rest of the night. But, yeah, Cannabis Corpse, amazing set. Like I said, best band on the bill for me that night. This was just a couple days ago. Actually, I've been meaning to record this. I wanted to record yesterday, but I just didn't have time. And then Soulfly came on, and I loved their stage setup because hanging from Max's mic stand, as well as the little, I guess you can call it the sampler thingy that they use, because, you know, Nail Bomb, if you don't know, plays industrial metal. They had skulls with these gas masks on with the long snouts hanging from it, which I thought was really cool. And I gotta say, they actually did put on a pretty cool set, and to hear, you know, the whole Point Blank album played live was really cool. And but yeah, Cannabis Corpse was definitely the highlight for me. Yeah, so on to my little cool experiences that I had, and the first one starts when me and my nephew Tyler got to the venue. I always like to get there early. I just, you know, I leave early just so I can, you know, in case there's any traffic issues, blah, blah, blah. And we're, you know, we get up there and there's this guy sitting out front, and I was just, right back, didn't get a very good vibe off of him, but, you know, he ended up standing up and was talking to us, and he was, you know, pretty cool to talk to, but definitely not somebody I would hang out with. And as we're talking, this, you know, woman and this younger guy walked by. I didn't even see where they had come from exactly. And the guy, you know, turns and says something to him. You know, and they, you know, acknowledge him. And then as they're coming back, going the opposite direction, he said, "Hey, you know, because actually, okay, back it up. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Well, after they had walked by and he had talked to him, he looks at me. He goes, "Yo, that was Max's son and wife right there." I'm like, "Oh, no shit." You know, which, you know, Max's son is a drummer for Lodi Kong as well as Soulfly now. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Well, they were coming back, and this guy, he was like, "Hey, you know, if you're not busy, could I get a picture with you?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, sure." So he hands me his phone. I take a picture of him, and then I thought, you know, what the fuck, why not? So I asked him if I could get a picture with him as well. So Tyler takes our picture, and I thank him and everything. And it was just, you know, like I said, my nephew, me, and this guy out there. And the lady was like, "You know, you guys are so great. Thank you for coming out." And then she's like, "You know what? Come with me for a minute." And we start following her, and she's taking us towards the bus. And we're just like, "Oh, shit, what's going to happen?" You know? And she's like, "Wait right here." And she goes inside. A couple minutes later, she comes out, and out walks Max Cavalera of Sepultura fame and Soulfly. And first words out of my mouth without even thinking about it, I was like, "Oh, shit." And, you know, he was super cool. You know, he shook our hands, was like, "Hey, how's it going?" You know, his nice thick accent and everything. And, you know, we were like, "Doing all right." So, you know, "It's a pleasure to meet you, blah, blah, blah." And, of course, you know, it had been raining all day, and it stopped raining, but it was really cold and windy. So, you know, his wife took all of our pictures with him, and, you know, he went inside, and we thanked him again. And as we were getting ready to walk back towards the front, she leans out of the bus. She's like, "Hey, would you guys like a cup of coffee? You know, to keep yourselves warm?" And we just looked at each other like, if it's not too much trouble. So she's like, "Just a minute." So she disappears back on the bus, comes out a couple minutes later, 3 cups of coffee. So yes, I had a cup of coffee from Soulfly's bus out of Max Cavalera's personal stash, and I've even still got the cups that she brought them out in. People might think I'm stupid for keeping those, but hey, that's a nice little souvenir for me. So as far as the merch goes, you know, as far as Nail Bomb goes, I got, of course, the shirt, and I picked up this really cool wristband. Has the Nail Bomb symbol on the back. This actually, you got 2 of them for $15, so I gave one to Tyler. And then, of course, I had to get a Nail Bomb beanie because it's getting cold here in Indiana. So, on to cool experience number 2 for me. We go inside, get to the merch booth, and I get all this stuff here. And, you know, they didn't tell the merch people that they were opening the doors at 5:30 instead of 6, like it said on our tickets. Well, you know, Cannabis Corpse wasn't really set up yet, so the girl, who was really fucking hot, I have to say, was sitting there setting up, and like I said, I caught her out of the corner of my eye because I had just finished purchasing all this stuff. And I just look over and there's Landfill with a box in his hands. He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he sets the box down, takes off, and I'm like, "Tyler, that was Landfill, and the vocalist of Cannabis Corpse, man." So just to make sure I was actually right, I asked the girl if that was Phil. She said, "Yeah, he was," and she said he was actually going to be coming back, because I said, I would love to get a picture taken with him, and she was like, "Oh yeah, cool." I said, "Well, if we buy like stuff from up here, would he be able to sign it?" And she was like, "Yeah, he'll sign it. Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I actually ended up buying, first of all, a Cannabis Corpse patch to put on my vest. But then I ended up buying pretty much all the records that they had sitting there, and 2 copies of the new CD. Even though I already had a copy at home, I wanted to get one to get signed, and I got one from my nephew to have signed as well. So he came back in, he sat down a box, and he took his jacket off, and I was like, would it be all right if we get some pictures and an autograph? Some stuff to sign. I got some stuff here for you to sign. And he was like, "Absolutely." Very down to earth, really cool. So, I had to turn the flash on my phone just to make sure the picture came out. And I handed the phone to Tyler, and we, struck our poses, if you will, and he took our picture. And I told Tyler, I was like, "All right, Tyler, your turn." And he's just like, what? Wait, I'm getting my picture taken too? I'm like, yeah, this time you are. And it was so funny because when I turned around, Phil was standing back there going, like, "Come on, bring it on, let's do this." And so Tyler got his picture taken with him, and then I told him, I said, "Hey, I actually just bought all this stuff from your booth tonight because I found out I would have a chance to get it signed from you, and I would, be appreciative if you could do that for me." And he was like, "Wow." He's like, "Thank you so much. We really appreciate the support. That is so awesome of you." And I'm like, "This is awesome of you right here doing this. I mean, this is making my night." And so he signed everything, and he goes, "You know what?" He goes, "Hold on a second." He goes, "I'll go get my bro, and I'll have him come sign your stuff, too." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So he goes to the back. He comes back. A few minutes later, here comes Hall Hammer out. And, I shook his hand and everything, and I said, "I'd just like to get a picture with you, and I got some stuff to sign." He's like, "Absolutely." Again, totally cool, down to earth. And what was funny is I was getting ready to take my neighbor was getting ready to take the picture. Phil leans back into the picture too and strikes a pose with us. So then, Tyler gets his picture taken with Phil and his brother, and he signed everything. But this is the thing that I don't get, and me and Tyler both could not figure out later on how we missed this, because we were both standing there watching Hall Hammer sign everything, but he actually missed signing one of my records. So, kind of sucks, but it's whatever. So yes, as far as Cannabis Corpse merch goes, I have the new album signed by Landfill and Hall Hammer, and I also picked up the, if I can get it, picture disc that they had, again, signed by Landfill and Hall Hammer. Here's the actual vinyl copy. And this is the one that is not signed by Hall Hammer, unfortunately, but that I did get from Wisdom to Baked, and you can probably, see it, signed by Landfill. Also got the Split with Ghouls Splatter Hash, signed by Hall Hammer and Landfill. And this one was actually pretty cool as far as the color of the vinyl, because the other two are just standard black. But this one comes on kind of a clear with green and orange splatter. Really cool. I guess you can call it like puke looking. And lastly, Beneath Grow Lights, Thou Shalt Rise, signed by Landfill and Hall Hammer. And again, this one is a colored variant, which is really cool. And I actually like this one more than the other. Very sick stuff. So, yeah. Talk about a hell of a night. I still cannot believe it all happened like that. Getting to meet Max Cavalera, one of the, founders, I guess you could say, of, or at least figureheads of South American metal, and getting my picture with him, and then meeting the dudes from Cannabis Corpse and getting them to sign my stuff. If I'd have known that that was going to happen, I would have taken all of my booklets with me, or if I'd have had more money, I would have bought all the other CDs and even the tape they had of the new album and got them to sign it. But I am very pleased with everything. The show was awesome. It was my last show for this year unless something comes up. I've actually already got 2 shows possibly lined up for next year. That's going to be the Anthrax and Killswitch Engage tour, and then Alice Cooper is coming here in the end of March. Killswitch and them are going to be in the beginning of February, so got to get tickets for those. So, yep, hell of a way to end my concert going for 2017. Like I said, unless something comes up. So that's it. I'm going to quit rambling. I got a couple more videos to record. So thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.